A report about the Philippine extractive industries and the EITI. The Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative is a global standard that requires oil, gas, and mining companies to publish what they pay to the government. They also require the government to publish what they collect from these companies. Its aim is to encourage countries to be transparent in reporting the benefits that they receive from their natural resources. The three pillars of EITI. 1. All revenues from extractive industries should be regularly published and independently verified. 2. Publication of data should be made by a multi-stakeholder group composed of the government, extractive industries, and civil society. Lastly, data should be effectively shared with the country's citizens, and it should stimulate an informed debate about their natural resources. What are the benefits of an EITI implementation? A government can benefit from this because they will be able to demonstrate their commitment to reform and anti-corruption. It will also lead to improvement in the collection of taxes, and it will enhance trust and stability in a volatile sector. Extractive industries will benefit from this because the playing field for them will be leveled. Companies will be required to disclose the same information, and they will benefit from an improved and more stable investment climate where they can engage effectively with citizens and civil society. Citizens and civil society will benefit from EITI because they will receive reliable information about the sector. They can also hold the government and extractive companies more accountable for their actions. Now, how was EITI implemented in the Philippines? In 2007, the DFA requested comments from the Minerals Development Council regarding the proposed participation of the Philippines in the EITI. The BIR expressed reservations due to the confidentiality of reported tax payments by companies provided under the National Internal Revenue Code. Despite this, the DENR expressed support to the proposed participation, and they recommended a study of the private sector's cooperation and commitment in paying the appropriate taxes. A study by the Chamber of Mines of the Philippines in 2 mining areas found that LGUs, or local government units, received shares lower than their statutory shares, and that they would receive it 2 to 3 years later than was scheduled. In 2009, the Department of Finance, Department of Budget and Management, Department of the Interior and Local Government, and the DENR signed Joint Circular Number 2009-1. This was the updated guidelines and procedures on the release of the share of local government units from collections derived by the national government from mining taxes. In 2010, they signed Joint Circular Number 2010-01 entitled Revised Guidelines and Procedures on the Release of the Share of Local Government Units derived by the national government from royalty income collected from mineral reservations. In 2013, under President Benigno Aquino III, the Philippines expressed its commitment to participate in EITI through Executive Order Number 79, institutionalizing and implementing reforms in the Philippine mining sector, providing policies and guidelines to ensure environmental protection and responsible mining and the utilization of mineral resources. Executive Order Number 147 also expressed its commitment through the creation of the Philippine Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative. Under EO 147, the Philippine EITI Multi-Stakeholder Group was established. The MSG represented the government, civil society, and extractive industry companies. Now, who represented the government in the MSG? Representatives from the Department of Finance, Department of Environment and Natural Resources, Mines and Geosciences Bureau, Department of Energy, Department of Interior and Local Government, and Union of Local Authorities of the Philippines. For the civil society, they were mainly represented by Bantay Kita Philippines. This is a broad coalition of civil society organizations that advocate for transparency and accountability. The extractive industries were represented by people from the Petroleum Association of the Philippines, Chamber of Mines of the Philippines, and elected representatives from non-chamber members. The MSG found 7 major issues in the natural resource management of the Philippines. 1. The need for transparency and accountability in extractive industries. 2. Conflicting laws and fiscal regime. 3. Conflicting information on taxes paid and benefits received by communities. 4. The need for stronger law enforcement to regulate small-scale mining and to stop illegal mining. 5. The unclear sharing of revenues between the national and local government. 6. Lack of understanding about how the extractive industry actually works. And 7. Conflict among stakeholders. Now, what is the goal of the Philippine EITI Multi-Stakeholder Group? They want to show direct and indirect contribution of extractives to the economy. They want to improve public understanding about the management of natural resources, and they want to improve the availability of data. They want to strengthen government systems in relation to the natural resource management. And they want to create opportunities for dialogue and constructive engagement in natural resource management. This is so that trust will be built and that conflict will be reduced among stakeholders. They want to strengthen the business environment and increase investments in extractive industries. Now, why is it important for the Philippines to implement EITI? The Philippines is one of the world's richest countries in mineral resources. We are 5th in terms of total mineral reserves, 3rd in gold, 4th in copper, 5th in nickel, and 6th in chromite. According to 2010 data, we have 14.5 billion metric tons of total metallic mineral reserves and 67.66 billion metric tons of non-metallic mineral reserves. 9 million hectares of land are geologically prospective for metallic minerals, and the country's mineral reserves are estimated to reach $1.387 trillion. Now, to have an idea of the mining industry in terms of numbers, the average gross value added from 2010 to 2013 was 58 million. That's 0.58% of the Philippine GDP. The contribution of the metallic mining industry to the country's total exports is higher than the gross value added or its contribution to the Philippine GDP. Contribution to total exports amount to 4.48% of the GDP from 2009 to 2012. As of 2012, 252,000 Filipinos were employed by the mining industry. The number of operating metallic mines has increased throughout the years. This is the Philippine map in terms of its potential resources. Potential resources in oil, in condensate, gas, and undiscovered mapped resources of oil, condensate, and gas. As you can see, majority of the areas in the Philippines are potential resources for minerals and other reserves. Now, let's talk about the money. How much does the government earn from the extractive industry? This is a graph of the mining tax revenues collected from the years 2009 to 2014. As you can see, majority of the taxes collected are collected by the national government. The next large portion is from excise tax, while the others are fees, charges, and royalties, total mining payments, and tax, fees, and charges collected by the local government units. 72.42% is tax collected by national government agencies. 7.38% is collected by local government units. 13.40% is excise tax collected by the Bureau of Internal Revenue. And 6.80% are fees, charges, and royalties collected by DENR MGB. What are the rules on confidentiality for the mining sector? What can and can they not show to the public? Information supplied by contractors as part of an investment guarantee and those agreed upon by parties are considered as confidential documents, while the non-confidential documents are the production and sales of minerals, employment, royalty and tax payments, metallic and non-metallic reserves, operational parameters, and other data. What are the payments made by extractive companies? Mining companies pay income taxes, excise taxes, mine waste and tailing fees, custom duties and fees, VAT, royalty and mineral reservations, documentary stamp tax, capital gains tax, and other taxes and royalties, and payments to local government units. Oil and gas companies pay income taxes, excise taxes, VAT, tariff duties, rental duties, and payments to LGUs. Coal companies pay performance guarantees, income tax, tariff duties, and payments to LGUs. The reconciliation process is the most important process of the EITI. Data is collected using reporting templates, and participating companies and government agencies directly provide to the EITI completed reporting templates. The gathered data are examined and reconciled with each other. Unexplained differences were aggregated to evaluate overall reporting by the different companies and agencies. Now class, let's look at the total production by region in 2013 and 2014. Listed here are the different regions and the different production of selected metals and its percentage of total production. As you can see, the total amount in 2013 was 98,598,853,129. There was an increase in 2014 because the value was now 138,609,945,193. The average total between the years 2013 to 2014 amounted to 118,604,399,161. As you can see, all throughout the Philippines, a large production of selected metals is being done. This table shows the contribution of metallic and non-metallic mining to the economy. The total average share in GDP for the years 2013 to 2014 was 1.5%. Its average share in exports was 4.2%, average share in employment 0.433%, and the 2014 contribution to government revenues amounted to 41 billion pesos. Given the vast amount of production, one can question why there is a low impact on the economy from the extractive industry. Now, focus your attention to this table. The first column is the per participating entity. These are the figures reported by extractive companies that they paid to different government agencies. In the per government agency column, these are the figures reported by the said government agency. These are the figures that they said extractive companies contributed to their agency. The variance pre-reconciliation is the difference in the figures before the EITI reconciled the documents submitted. As you can see, some of the variances are negative. This means that that government agency did not receive the certain amount. For example, the Bureau of Customs did not receive 4,186,316 as opposed to what was reported by the companies. The reconciled amount shows the actual figure that the company gave to the government agency, and the variance post-reconciliation is the profit or gain that the government agency received after the payment was made by the extractive company. This table is for the year 2014, and as you can see, there are no negative variances post-reconciliation by the EITI. In total, the government received more than 360 million in variance. Given that that is a lot of money, one must wonder if these really went to the government agencies and if these government agencies were able to allocate the money efficiently. How are the collected amounts from extractive industries being distributed to the local government units? In the local government units, the distribution from the collections made from extractive industries are divided into three parts. Local business tax, paid either in mine site or in the head office, real property tax, and real property tax for the Special Education Fund. This is how collections from extractive industries are distributed in the LGUs. What are the challenges that the Philippines has faced in the mining industry? Some of the atrocities committed are categorized under human rights violation: killing of indigenous people in Mindanao, relation of mining operations to human rights abuses, death of environmental activists and indigenous community leaders, displacement of communities, and the violation of human rights by Oceana Gold Philippines in Nueva Vizcaya. The other atrocity committed is the environmental degradation. Forest destruction and water contamination are just some of the challenges that the Philippines faces. What are the challenges to the implementation of EITI in the Philippines? Reports show that collection from companies were not properly quantified. There were discrepancies between company declarations, especially to the indigenous peoples. Participation also remains voluntary in the EITI. One of the companies that the EITI aims to target is the Semi-Rara Mining and Power Corporation. 90% of coal production in the country is done by them, but they refuse to participate in the EITI. Out of 52 targeted companies, only 36 companies so far have participated.
The EITI is a globalized standard promoting transparency in the transaction records of the extractive industries. Natural resources belong to everyone, and we all have the right to know how we benefit from its extraction. The extractive industries have been causing environmental damage and hazard for the people living in the areas. With the EITI implementation, this will no longer be the case. EITI is basically beneficial for everyone. There are problems encountered with the implementation, but all in all, it could be said that the efforts of the administration and the EITI team shows the promise of a better management of natural resources.